You're listening to RcFlightCast podcast with Frank Betts. Hello, fellow pilots and RC enthusiasts. Welcome back to RcFlightCast, where we dive into everything radio-controlled flying. Today's episode is going to be a practical one, and frankly, one every RC pilot needs to understand. We're talking about what you need to know to legally fly RC airplanes in the United States. Whether you're flying a tiny park flyer, a giant scale warbird, get that straight, or a high-speed EDF jet, there are legal requirements you need to follow. And trust me, the FAA is watching, and ignorance isn't a defense. I have a private pilot's license. I've had it since '75. And FAA, you don't want to tangle with those fine folks. That's for sure. So let's break it down so you can stay legal, stay safe, and keep enjoying this awesome hobby without getting into trouble. First things first, the FAA and RC planes. In the eyes of the Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA, RC airplanes, helicopters, and drones are all classified as unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS. That means you are technically an aircraft pilot, and you're flying is subject to federal law. Now, before you panic, most of the rules are simple and designed for common sense safety. Registering your aircraft. If your RC airplane weighs more than 0.55 pounds, which is about 250 grams, you are required by the FAA to register. This includes the battery, all your electronics, the plane, and ready-to-fly condition. Registration is easy. You go to the FAA's Drone Zone website, set up an account, and pay the $5 fee, which is good for 3 years. Once you register, you'll get a unique number that you need to label somewhere on your aircraft where it's visible. I just write it down on mine in an inconspicuous spot. All I got to do is be able to see it. A Sharpie marker or label or even engraving. It doesn't matter as long as it's on there. Failure to register could lead to fines if you're caught. And I've read some pretty good horror stories of people actually screwing up and going out of the guidelines, and people complain, and then all of a sudden here comes those fine folks from the FAA wanting to know what your problem is. So you have the trust test, TRUST. Yes, you got to take it. I did. It is so stupid simple. It's ridiculous. I mean, the answers are right there. You can take it over and over and over and over. The FAA also requires all recreational RC pilots to pass the recreational UAS safety test, or trust, TRUST. And like I said, don't worry. This is an easy and free online test. It's meant to make you make sure you understand the basic safety and legal guidelines for flying. And it only takes about 30 minutes. It don't take that long. And once you complete it, you'll get a certificate that you must carry with you when you're flying. Keep it in your flight box, your glove compartment, or just take a photo and store it on your phone. I just sent mine. I got onto that site and sent mine to my email account. So all my emails have a copy of that on there. And you can take trust through several FAA-approved sites. Just Google FAA Trust Test and pick one. Flying in approved airspace, now where can you legally fly? And that's where things get a bit more involved. So you need to know your airspace classifications. Like I said, I'm a private pilot, and it's the alphabet, basically. National Airspace System divides the sky into different classes, A, B, C, D, E, and G. Most of us fly in Class G, which is just open. It's uncontrolled airspace, and you can fly in Class G airspace up to 400 feet above ground level. Remember that, without special permission. So if you're 100 feet, above ground level, then you can fly 500 feet. So you just tack on your ground level that you're at. And a lot of watches, phones, everything, you can find out that real quick, but come on, that's splitting hairs. There's times where I've flown out of sight, got away with it. So, I've been flying, since the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I kind of took a break and got back into it, and I'm back at it again. But I have never had a problem, especially with electrics now. They're so quiet. Like I said, unless you fly over a bunch of people or really screw up, you're going to be fine. So, but if you're within 5 miles of an airport or in controlled airspace, that's Class B, C, D, or E, you'll need to use the LAANC system to get authorization. So LAANC stands for Low Altitude Authorization and Notification Capability. You can get near instant approval through apps like Before You Fly, AirMap, or Kitty Hawk. And I don't have my phone here, but I got one. Yeah, I think it's the AirMap. You click on that wherever you're at, it gets your lat long numbers, and it shows a quick shot of where you're standing, and it gives you a green light or a red light. And then it also, I think it even lists local airports, like AMA approved airports where you can go over there and do your thing. But I use that more for my drone than my airplanes, because I got a church over here nearby me in a little park where there's not too much going on. So, you just got to use your own judgment on that. But, you got your community-based organizations, and, why they matter. Flying under the guidance of a community-based organization like the AMA, Academy of Model Aeronautics is what that stands for. It gives you an extra layer of legal protection. I was in the AMA for a while. I don't know. I think sometimes if you have to lean on them, they, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into that part, but, just do your thing with the AMA. The FAA recognizes these organizations and their safety codes, and so if you fly at an AMA-sanctioned field, you're typically within FAA rules and insurance coverage, too. I gotta say, since I've been flying since the 70s, I don't remember ever seeing anybody get hurt or anything. And I've been in quite a few clubs over the years. Yeah. Anyway, highly recommend joining the AMA. What the heck? I gotta say that. So not only for the insurance, but also because they advocate for the hobby at the federal level. Plus most AMA fields are in safe designated areas away from people, property, and airports. General safety rules to stay legal. Here are some safety basics that you're expected to follow. Always keep your aircraft within visual line of sight. No FPV flights without a spotter. That's that first-person viewer if you have a small camera. And I talked about this on my last podcast, where you got a camera within your plane on the nose there, and you can, it's as if you're sitting in it. You can fly wherever you want, but, you need a spotter, is what they're saying. I don't know. Stay below 400 feet unless you have specific FAA authorization. Don't fly over people, vehicles, or moving traffic. Smart. That's so true. Avoid flying near emergency operations like fires or search and rescue, because now drones are really getting thick and heavy around those situations. And I think, was it last year I heard of when they had the big wildfires in California, a drone, somebody's personal drone got tangled up with a aircraft or something like that. Woo, boy, they got in big old trouble for that one. So, don't interfere with manned aircraft. If you see a full-scale plane or helicopter, descend immediately. Thank you. Only fly during daylight or silver twilight unless your aircraft is equipped with proper lighting, which means the position lighting, green on the right or starboard, port side left, you want red, and then on the tail you get your white light, so you can people can, in the dark, easily see what direction you're going and how to get around you. If you violate any of these, you're subject to FAA enforcement, including potential fines or civil penalties. And depending on their mood, they will really come after you. Just ask, the drone pilots. Ever since drones become popular and people abused those things, and now the FAA had to get in there and do their little money grab, and now you get you have to be certified to be a commercial drone pilot. So local laws and park rules beyond the FAA, your state, city, or local park might have their own rules about RC flying. Yeah, you might want to keep up with that for sure. But again, the old nitro burning two-stroke stuff there used to really annoy a lot of people there. And then when the electrics come along, unless you land or crash on top of their roof or car or something, I don't foresee any problems there. But that's just me. That's my own personal thought. But some parks ban model aircraft entirely, while others have designated RC zones. Always check your local ordinances. Quick look at a city or park's website can save you from getting booted out or fined. Even some HOAs, homeowners associations, might have rules against flying in residential neighborhoods. What about FPV flying? If you're flying FPV or first-person view, you're still required to have a visual observer or spotter. And that person must keep the airplane in sight at all times while you enjoy the video feed. This is an FAA rule and not optional. Also, FPV flights under the Part 107, which I kind of sort of touched on a couple of minutes ago. There's Part 107 rules are commercial operations, but recreational FPV is legal with these precautions. So flying commercially, no Part 107. If you ever plan to make money flying RC aircraft, including capturing video for real estate or promotional content, you'll need a Part 107 remote pilot certificate. I think does for like $100 or something. You can take a test. There's like a video school on YouTube. You can do a search. There's a couple of places here that people really swear by, and I swear it's almost like getting my private pilot certificate. Only it's for drones and what have you. It's right up there. You got to do some studying, that's for sure. It's a whole different ball game with a proctored test, background check, and stricter operating requirements. But for 99% of hobbyists just flying for fun, trust and FAA registration are what you need. Again, that little trust test, TRUST, it's so simple. They just want you to realize and say to yourself, common sense rules, things to keep you out of trouble with your little park flyer or whatever. So summary checklist to fly illegally. Let me wrap up this episode with a quick checklist. And I've got this written down. Right here. Register your aircraft with the FAA if it weighs over 0.55 pounds. Take and pass the trust test. Label your aircraft with your FAA number. Always fly under 400 feet in uncontrolled airspace. That'd be G space. Use LAANC authorization in controlled airspace. That's if you're near an active airport. Fly within visual line of sight. Respect local park and city rules. Join the AMA or another CBO for added protection. That's your roadmap to staying legal in the RC skies. So I know it sounds like a lot, but once you're set up, it's easy. And you'll fly with peace of mind knowing you're not breaking the law. So that's it for today's episode of RcFlightCast. I'm Frank. Fly safe, stay smart, keep those batteries charged, and until next time, signing off. See ya.